to another weekly update. It's been a little while since we've done one from an airport, but we've definitely done them in the past, but it's been a couple of years for sure. But that's because I'm off to ESPC this week, so excited for that. A couple of things happening this week you should know about. So the first one is a blog from the Microsoft 365 developer blog, and it's telling you that you can now create site collections in Microsoft Graph. This is one of those weird areas with Microsoft Graph where the headline is that, yep, you know, you can use the Graph API to do all sorts of things and automate all sorts of actions that you've got going on. And then you find that there sometimes are gaps, and these are just kind of functionality gaps that get filled in over time, but they can really trip you up if you assume they're going to be there going into a project and then it turns out they're not. Creating site collections is definitely one of those, so it's really good to see that gap's now being closed. So you can now use Microsoft Graph to create site collections, which is something you couldn't previously do before. So exciting news for anyone using Graph to do kind of SharePoint administration and SharePoint management stuff. So that's really good. All right, next one is, this was an Ignite announcement, and I've read this a few times before I wanted to talk about it, and that is Microsoft Agent 365, which Microsoft are building as the control plane for AI agents. Now, I've put a link to the official blog post about this, so you can kind of read it through. It's got some good links, it's got some video and all the rest of it. I'm struggling with this a little bit. I get the idea of it. I think what's really interesting is to explore maybe the positioning of some of this information. On a purely broadly technical level, I don't think there's loads new to this that we didn't already know. I mean, obviously the idea of the Agents 365 is a new thing, but I think it's a sort of, when you dig under the hood of it, it's really it's an abstraction on top of app registrations and enterprise apps, which is good, don't get me wrong, and it's good to have like that single place to go. But I feel like a lot of IT admins already have that single place to go. They've already built up the tooling that they need to monitor app registrations, enterprise apps. I think the bigger piece that this speaks to really is not challenging, but meeting enterprise IT where they are with their worries and concerns about the rollout of things like Copilot and agentic workflows. I see quite a lot of pushback from IT teams who are worried about some of this stuff because it's either it's not fully understood, or they've got governance concerns, they've got compliance concerns. They don't feel like users are fully in control and completely know what's going on. So I think this really addresses that, and I think that's the reason for some of this stuff being there as well. So I put that there so you can read it through, you can look at it and understand what's going on there. But that's kind of my take on it. Okay, let's go completely left field, and there is a good reason for going completely left field. I'm going to put a blog post out later about something that I built over the weekend that I thought was cool, nothing to do with Microsoft 365 particularly, but I was completely inspired by something Scott Hanselman did to build something called Edge Light, or rather his is called Windows Edge Light. So Edge Light is the Mac Tahoe feature that puts like a ring light on your monitor for video calls. And so Scott wanted one of those for his Windows machine. So using GitHub Copilot and Claude Sonnet, he vibe coded it. So inspired by this, I did something similar. I've got a blog post on that coming out later today, if I get it right. But anyway, the reason for talking about this thing is Scott, in doing that, obviously found out some new things, discovered some things that didn't quite work and he wanted to improve on, and has come up with this blog post, which is how to automatically sign a Windows EXE with Azure Trusted Signing, dotnet Sign, and GitHub Actions. So really basically what he was finding is that he had this WPF app that he'd made, but it wasn't digitally signed, so Windows Smart Screen was moaning about it all the time. Completely makes sense, right? So he wanted to be able to digitally sign it, but as part of that GitHub Actions workflow, because he's vibe coding the stuff, he's adding these features, he's pushing these releases to GitHub and having them automatically built into releases. He doesn't want to have to do anything manually, he wants it all to be part of that workflow. So he's got a blog post on how to do that. I'm including it partly for myself because I'm actually going to be looking to do this for the thing I've just built, but I thought you might find it useful as well. I like Scott's challenging of, there's always a way to do something. It was Scott who said that nothing is ever a black box in IT. You just got to peel away like the onion. Like everything's explainable, right? You shouldn't just shrug your shoulders and be like, oh, this is the way it is, we can't change it, because you can always change it, which I think is a great philosophy to go by in IT. So I'm including that in case it's valuable to you, but also kind of as a memoir to me to kind of make sure I go back and do that. And also look out for the blog post I'm going to do later about the thing I built over the weekend. Kind of a similar vein for the next one actually as well, which is around Git worktrees, which I know absolutely nothing about. But Phil Hack, I haven't covered anything for Phil for a really long time. So really good developer, used to be Microsoft, I think, certainly was an MVP, may still be an MVP, not quite sure. But he's built something to get around some of the perceived issues he has with Git worktrees. It's called TreeMe. Because Git worktrees shouldn't be a chore, apparently. I know almost nothing about Git worktrees, but I feel like I should. And the reason I feel like I should is something that Phil wrote in his blog post. Because he said he ignored them for years because he didn't really understand them, which is where I'm at. But he said that changed as I began using LLM coding tools to do more work in parallel. Being able to work on multiple branches simultaneously is a game changer. Now, it's something I find that I'm doing more and more, using LLM coding tools to create features in parallel. And I am starting to kind of see that as a bit of a bottleneck. And I'm deliberately kind of sequentializing features for a particular application rather than doing it in parallel. Well, maybe I could get better results if I did it in parallel if I understood Git worktrees. So yeah, that's something I need to dig into, and I feel like maybe there's probably a lot of people like me who have ignored Git worktrees up until now. So I think it might be time to revisit them and see if they're for you. All right, I think that is all the exciting things to tell you about for this week. So this week I'm going to be at ESPC, which is super exciting. If you're going to be there, please come and say hello. If there's stuff you think I should be talking about and I'm not, please let me know. I will try and cover some bits and pieces from there if I can, probably straight to LinkedIn, I would guess. But we'll see. I might do a blog post about it as well. Yeah, other than that, have a great week, whatever it is you're doing, and I will speak to you again next time.